I'm Professor Chi. I help people raise their vibration. In this video, we're going to discuss mistakes. Why mistakes are necessary, why mistakes are unavoidable, and why mistakes are the key to effective living and wisdom. The portal of discovery is mistakes. Mistakes are unavoidable, and yet we are continually live in fear of making a mistake. As a child, we grew through mistakes. The only way you can actually grow is through mistakes. For some reason, early on in life, we get punished for making mistakes. And this creates this shame for making mistakes, when the truth of the matter is there's absolutely no other way to learn but to make a mistake. For instance, look at how when we're learning how to walk. If you take too small of a step, you stumble. If you take too large of a step, you fall over. And so through mistake, we figure out how to make just the right step forward to have locomotion forward. Without that mistake-making process, there would be no way we could possibly learn how to do something as complicated as walking up on two legs. So mistakes are a continual way for us to grow. And yet as we grow into an adult, there's a certain amount of shame around making a mistake. I believe it all starts in about when we're 12 and 13 years old, in what in childhood development psychology they call eye-to-eye validation. Because earlier than that, our parents protect us, and we're given a lot of breaks. And it's okay to make mistakes. But then at around the 7th grade, or 12 and 13 years old, this eye-to-eye validation period starts to happen, where your peer group starts to really pick on you when you make a mistake. And everybody is looking around for you to make a mistake so they can tease you and make fun of you, or maybe beat you up for it. This phase is difficult to outgrow, and many people never do outgrow it. Many people, they shrink away, they shrink into themselves and have difficulty expressing themselves due to this eye-to-eye validation period. Oftentimes, the only way a lot of people grow out of this is through education and money making. Once you start to make money and you become educated and see through the folly of those days, you can outgrow it. But oftentimes, particularly working class people, they never really outgrow this, and so they stay in this place where you're always looking around to make fun of other people or to judge other people. Judgment is rooted in mistake making, or perceived mistake making. We a lot of times we'll wait for someone to make a mistake, and then we can judge them. Look what they did. I knew they were going to make a mistake. And we equate mistake making with stupidity. Like, you must be stupid because you made a mistake. So as we become adults, we kind of solidify our personality in a way that we create a way or a paradigm in our life where we don't make a lot of mistakes. We get a position of authority. We somehow get into a position of petty power or real power, where our mistake making is overlooked because people have fear of you. You have children, and then you can start picking on your kids and the mistakes they make. You and your spouse box each other into different realities where the mistakes are overlooked. Polite society will oftentimes overlook mistakes. You overlook the mistakes of the pastor because he's a man of God. You overlook the mistakes of your boss because he's your boss. You overlook the mistakes of your spouse because you don't want to hurt their feelings and start, all the conflict. And this is especially true with men, or at least it used to be. Times are certainly changing around this paradigm. But in the past, the very recent past, men and still don't want to be called on their mistakes. I don't like being called on my mistakes. I don't know if anybody likes being called on their mistakes. And we create a way to live and a circumstance in our life that's usually propped up with money and petty power, where we will not get called upon our mistakes because we don't want to be called stupid. The truth of the matter is, we're always growing. We really don't grow up at 21 or 25 or 35 or 65. We really don't grow up. We are continually growing. There's always evolution happening as long as we're within time and in a human body, and there's going to be mistakes made. As far as that goes, the only route or the only road to wisdom is the road of making mistakes. This idea that somehow you're wise and you won't make mistakes is a sure way to become arrogant. The person that doesn't make any mistakes is usually not wise. They're usually arrogant, and they have an air around them of they dare you to say anything about their mistakes, and because if they do, they're going to attack back. So much of the attack that's happening in our world and judgment is based on the inability to admit that we've made a mistake, when the truth of the matter is we all make mistakes. The Buddha called it beginner mind, and beginner mind is very necessary in order to learn. In order to learn anything, you have to have a certain degree of beginner mind. And oftentimes after the age of 25 or certainly 35, people give up on beginner mind. It's really hard to teach an old dog new tricks. But the truth of the matter is, we have to learn new tricks in order to grow, in order for life to be fresh. If we get to a place where we can no longer make mistakes, life very quickly becomes dull. There's just no way that you can feel good about yourself if you're living in a world where you no longer make mistakes. Because if you're no longer making mistakes, you are not stepping out of your comfort zone. And I mean, just little mistakes like I don't know, you buy new equipment for whatever you're interested in, and you have to learn how to use it. There's a learning curve around that. You buy this furniture from IKEA, and it's like, oh, easy to put together. It comes in a box, and then the instructions are 5 pages long, and you can't understand it at all, and you're going to make a bunch of mistakes. And then what do? You get mad, and you're yelling at everybody, and rather than just realizing, oh my goodness, here comes the mistakes. New software. There's so many things in our world that demand us to change and to grow, and we're going to make mistakes. Why in the world would you want to stay the same, other than the fact that you don't want to be caught making a mistake? So often, men, us guys, we love our garage and the man cave thing so we can go in there and make mistakes and no one will see us do it. We're going to go out there and do our little projects and yell and scream and cuss. And it's like, oh my God, he's out there doing something, banging around and cussing. It's because he's making mistakes and he doesn't want anybody to see it. Women tend to have a little step up on this because, it's kind of cute when a woman makes a mistake. Now, this paradigm is changing rapidly because women are stepping forward and leading their own lives now, and they're having a much more young perspective on life. And guess what? they're starting to make more and more mistakes. They're going to certainly make more mistakes because they're not leaning on a man to make those mistakes for them. In the past, men were considered strong, and a strong man can be leaned upon and relied upon because he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. That kind of reality, that rigidness is hard to keep up. And I personally think that's the reason why men have been so violent in the past, because of mistake making. The inability to accept the fact that they've made a mistake. Rather than accept they've made a mistake, they go to war. Mistake making is wonderful because it is a supreme opportunity to correct the mistake. And correcting a mistake is the most satisfying of feelings, isn't it? You've done it wrong, then through effort, maybe not hard work, but through some kind of effort, you get it right. And then when you get it right, oh, what a wonderful feeling. That's the feeling that you see on a 2-year-old's face when they finally figure out how to run, when they finally figure out how to feed themselves. They beam. And then we grow up and we give up on that. Why? I invite you to start making mistakes and correcting the mistakes in your life. Go ahead and be vulnerable. Mistake making is the door that opens up vulnerability, that wonderful, soft, luxurious place where it's okay to do something wrong. We are told in our modern society that the only thing that matters is being firm and have strong resolve and you don't make mistakes. I say that firmness needs to be tempered with the same amount of flexibility. So whatever firmness is in your life, you need the same amount of flexibility, of the ability to make a mistake. This is how we get to balance. There is no balance in somebody that's always firm and always in resolve and has no sense of flexibility in their life. The way that we can really get to this place where we feel comfortable making a mistake and being vulnerable is to identify with energy. Because energy flows. It's like wind and water. It's feng shui. It flows beautifully around obstacles. There's an obstacle and it flows around it. Instead, when we become solidified in our personality and we rely strictly on the 5 senses, then mistakes seem like something that needs to be knocked down, something that needs to be chopped down, something that needs to be knocked over and bowled through. And that is no fun. That's not an elegant, wonderful way to live. That is force. So I invite you to learn how to see yourself as energy. The best way that I know for discovering the energy within you and identifying with that energy is to practice solar qigong. Go to solarqigong.com, follow the easy to follow video instruction, learn how to pull energy and cultivate energy and inspiration into your life and how to direct those circulations of energy with your mind. This will make your mind more supple. It'll make your body more in tune with that supple mind. You'll learn ways to move that are in coordination and concert with your mind that is in touch with energy. Things will start to flow smoothly. And mistake making, perhaps mistake making will look more like an opportunity to grow.